What is going on, everybody? It's your boy Chris Evans here, live on this August 19th here at 10:15 Eastern Standard Time. I wanted to go live here on this Wednesday evening, kind of to cover our severe risk that was extended by the Storms Prediction Center for overnight tonight. And I also am becoming a little bit more concerned about the flash flooding risk with repeated rounds of showers and storms as we get into the overnight hours on your Wednesday and early on your Thursday. So, as always, I just want to make sure that the comments are working here, that the audio is working. So Mike's already showed it here saying audio's all good. So good deal. So just make sure you guys put a thumbs up, share if you can, get this out to people. As I know a lot of people have asked some questions about what to expect as we get into the overnight hours tonight. And that is the reason why I decided to fire up this live video. So here we are looking at the Weatherfront website. We're looking at the Storm Prediction Center, the day one outlook that was just issued here. And you can see this level 2 out of 5 slight risk has been extended to include places like E-Town, Campbellsville, and Bowling Green. It was previously anywhere from near the I-69 corridor and points off to the west. And it was extended here in the overnight update. And that is due to a little bit more instability that we have to work with, or that we might have to work with here as we get into the overnight hours. As we look at our hazards here is that tornado risk. It is a 2% tornado risk as we get into the overnight hours on your Wednesday night. You can see that is anywhere from Western Kentucky all the way to the I-65 corridor. The tornado risk is not that high. And again, we'll just have to kind of babysit radar here in the next couple of hours. And I'm going to kind of go through everything here. So if you guys have any questions, I would hold on until the end of this video. Make sure you put your location in here to let me know exactly where I need to answer for. Since we do have a lot of people watching across the state, but I will answer any questions here at the end of the video. But I did just want to kind of cover all the risks, and then we'll kind of do radar and things like that. But again, 2% tornado risk, low tornado risk as we get into the overnight hours tonight. We do have a 15% wind risk, and I do think this is our highest severe hazard as we get into the overnight hours. I do think we'll have a couple of severe warnings with some convection, especially out in Western Kentucky. I still think Western Kentucky is probably more under the gun, although the convection was more delayed. The model data has kind of hinted, and this is another setup that model data just hasn't handled well at all. This is the interesting thing for me. The SPC does have a 5% hail risk, but you'll see the SIG 1, which means significant hail is possible here in northwest Kentucky, anywhere from Evansville to just north of Paducah. And this was newly issued from the Storms Prediction Center here. And the reason why this is the reason why they're doing this is because some of the storms that are firing, and we'll look at radar here in a second, some of the storms that are firing out in far western Kentucky are elevated, which could lead to more of a hail risk, especially in far western and northwestern Kentucky here as we get into your overnight, into the overnight hours on your Wednesday. But this is the SIG 1, this kind of hatching here that you can see up here by Evansville, just means that some large hailstones are possible as we get into the overnight period tonight. Again, I want to show that slight risk one more time. It is anywhere from the I-65 corridor and points off to the west. And this is for, again, overnight tonight into early on your Thursday morning. So, again, that I wanted to show that real quick. I did also want to show that we do have a flash flooding risk as we get into the overnight tonight. This is the excessive rainfall outlook. And you can see we do have a slight risk for flash flooding as we get into the overnight period as well. We have a level 2 out of 5, again, anywhere from, again, the I-65 corridor and points off to the west. Western Kentucky is going to see storms first, and we'll kind of time this out here in 1 second. Now, that is interesting. It's a brand new tornado warning that was just issued here in southeast Missouri. We'll look at that in 1 second, because I know a lot of our followers are here in Kentucky, but you guys can see as we're looking at radar here on the Weatherfront website, you can see some convection that has just started to pop up. I put radar and loop here in 1 second, but this convection has kind of started to pop up here in the last hour or so. And again, we just had a newly issued tornado warning just to the northwest of Poplar Bluff, and you can see how these storms are kind of blowing up. And again, they're more cellular now, which is interesting to me. There is 1-inch hail that is possible with this storm here. Again, just north of Winona, Missouri. And again, this is the complex of storms that are going to be tracking towards western Kentucky as we get into the next couple of hours. And we'll just have to kind of track and see how convection kind of blossoms up here in the next couple of hours. So again, this is I'm going to scroll out a little bit, and I'm going to make sure that this is showing up on the screen well. And again, I'm going to pull up. I know Devin says Magnolia, Kentucky, and I have really horrible storm anxiety. And I know, and that's the reason why I decided to go live tonight. I know a lot of people have storm anxiety anytime that it storms. I will say tonight is not that high of a severe risk at all, but I definitely just wanted to make sure that I got on here and kind of gave you guys kind of the threats and what to expect as we got into the overnight tonight. So Don's watching from Summersville. I appreciate you coming in here, Don. Again, I appreciate all the support and everybody coming in here tonight. But again, as we're looking at the Weatherfront website, you can see this area that's highlighted in red here. And this is a mesoscale discussion from the Storm Prediction Center. And I don't know how well that's going to show up on the screen, but this is a 60% chance of a watch that could be issued in the overnight period tonight. The Storm Prediction Center says that the severe potential may be increasing. Severe hail appears to be the main threat, though a few damaging wind gusts or a tornado are also possible. When we look at the hazards up here, you can see again that hail potential, 1.5 to 2.5 inch size hail. That's pretty large hailstones as we get into the overnight. But again, I think that's going to be more far western Kentucky and northwestern Kentucky here with our hail risk. And we do have 55 to 70 mile per hour damaging wind risk as these storms kind of blossom here. And then again, we have a very low end tornado risk. I don't think the tornado risk is that high. And that's why I'm kind of not covering that tornado warning. I will look at the rotation. This is kind of in a radar hole a little bit, but yeah, you guys can see some of that rotation here just to the east of imminent. So we'll have to watch these storms through the next couple of hours because they are going to increase. Right now, they've kind of, again, they're just now blossoming up in the last hour or so, and it's going to continue to increase as we get into the overnight period. So what I wanted to do now was kind of show model data, but another interesting thing before I show model data is if we look at what the Storm Prediction Center on the Weatherfront website. If you guys don't have this, it is free to download on anybody's phone. The app is really good as well. This is on the desktop version, but you can look at all of this on your platform as well. The Weatherfront website has everything that you need. Does a really good job. But when we're looking here at the mesoscale discussion, you'll see. I thought it was interesting because the Storm Prediction Center says that severe potential remains in question given the elevated nature of convection and relatively weak deep layer ascent. Basically, that means that we have the severe potential is in question because the storms are elevated right now. They're not surface based. This was about just 8 minutes ago. And within 8 minutes, we did have a tornado warning. But most of this convection, the storms that are ongoing are not surface based, meaning they don't have a damaging wind or tornado potential. The SPC does say that the latest high res data has not shown consistency in the placement. So a lot of our data, and that's why I wanted to cover this before we went on to the data, but a lot of our data has done really horrible today and in the last couple of weeks with these kind of setups. Model data had storms way before 10 p.m. tonight. So I did want to show the latest HRRR here, because I kind of wanted to give you guys what to expect through the night. But again, as we look at the HRRR, this is at 11 p.m. This is the latest run, and you can see the HRRR doesn't even have any storms here in the southeast Missouri area. So when we look at model data, we know before even looking at before even going into the model data, we know that it's not handling this setup well. But we do know if we fast forward the HRRR, it does show some convection here as we get to around 2 a.m. in far western Kentucky. I do think this is a little bit slow, so I do think this will be around midnight. It's a couple of hours slow because we do already have those storms out here in Missouri. But as we get into the overnight hours, we will have some storms that will start to blossom up here around 2 a.m. And then you can really see around 4 a.m. where we have organized, maybe even an MCS complex as we get to 4 a.m. We'll kind of have to watch radar again. The next couple of hours is really going to be key to kind of seeing what kind of severe risks we could see. Now, as we get into the overnight hours, again, I'm not that worried about the tornado risk, although we could have a weak spin-up tornado. I think the main risk for me is going to be the damaging wind threat, anywhere from 55 to 70 mile-an-hour winds, and that hail risk, right? Especially if these are supercells and it's not an MCS and it's more discrete, then that hail risk could be a little bit more elevated. But if it's more of a line of storms and the damaging wind threat could be a little bit more elevated again. I think the HRRR is running a little bit slow, so this will be around 2 a.m., but definitely overnight we're going to see storms start to fire. It's going to start first out here in western Kentucky, but you'll see as I advance here, this shows Thursday morning at 6 a.m. Again, I think the HRRR is running a couple hours too slow, so I still think this will be around 3 or 4 a.m. You can see how these storms kind of move off into the I-65 corridor, and then we have more convection that kind of fires here out in far western Kentucky. And that's why I'm a little bit concerned about the flash flooding risk as we get into the overnight hours. Kind of repeated rounds of showers and storms looks likely anywhere from the I-65 corridor and points off to the west as we get into the overnight and early on your Thursday morning. And again, as we get to about 9 a.m., again, this will probably be around your 6, 7 a.m. Thursday morning. You can still see widespread showers and storms as we get into your Thursday morning. But the highest severe risk, if I back this up again, is going to be in the overnight time frame. I think anywhere from midnight to 2 to 3 a.m. is going to be the highest severe risk, and that'll be first in far western Kentucky, but we could get a severe thunderstorm out in central Kentucky as well, especially along the I-65 corridor. But I think the highest severe risk is going to be out here in far western Kentucky as we get into the overnight hours. And then as we kind of advance this, you'll see these storms kind of push off again to the I-65 corridor, and we'll have more storms that'll fire. And that's why I'm a little bit worried about the flash flooding risk as we get into the overnight and early on your Thursday morning. So as we get to about midday, it does look like these storms and showers are going to try to move out, but there may be some stragglers out here in far southern Kentucky. One thing I did want to see is the latest rainfall from the HRRR, and you can see the HRRR is pointing at some areas over 3 to 5 inches of rain to fall overnight. Again, especially out here far western Kentucky. I'm going to zoom this in a little bit, kind of give you guys some city names. I'm actually going to zoom out just a little bit. This is just north of the western Kentucky parkways is where the HRRR is hinting. But again, I don't want you guys to look at this and say this is exactly where this is going to happen because it's not going to happen that way. But I definitely think out here in far western Kentucky is most highlighted for a flash flooding risk as we get into the overnight hours. We'll just have to kind of watch radar and kind of see what happens as these storms kind of blossom here as we get through the next couple of hours. So that is what I have for you guys. Does look like this tornado warning got extended. Still is only radar indicated until 11 p.m. So we'll just have to watch this convection here, kind of see how these storms kind of track as we get into our overnight hours. Again, I think the main risk today, I'm going to show that SPC outlook one more time. The main risk today is going to be the damaging wind risk as we get into the overnight hours, and that's going to be anywhere from the I-65 corridor and points off to the west. We do have that low-end tornado risk, but I don't think it's a high tornado risk at all. We do have that 15% wind risk as well. And then the 5% SIG-1 hail risk, which is very interesting. We'll have to see how that kind of pans out. But there is a chance for some large hailstones as we get into the overnight period, especially far northwestern Kentucky. So I know there's a lot kind of going on in this video. I want to highlight we do have a flash flooding risk, especially I would say from the I-69 corridor points off to the west. But I do think anywhere in the slight risk, you probably have a chance to see some flash flooding as well as we get into the overnight hours. So we're going to have an increase of showers and storm activity, especially in the next couple of hours. I think the severe risk will probably have a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings as we get into the overnight hours. But this isn't the worst severe risk that we've ever had in Kentucky. So if you're wondering if you can go to sleep tonight, I would definitely have a way to receive warnings just in case. But I definitely think that you can go to sleep if you have a way to receive warnings as we get into the overnight hours. So that is what I kind of got for you guys right now. We'll open up the chat for any questions now. If I didn't cover your specific location, I kind of left out the I-75 corridor, but as you guys can tell, I definitely think this event kind of highlights more of the I-65 corridor and definitely western Kentucky as we get into the overnight hours. So again, I think we'll have to babysit radar for the next couple of hours, and that's going to be the key. What does radar look like? Because we know that model data is not handling this well at all. So kind of what does radar look like in the next couple of hours, and how do these storms kind of blossom? That is just kind of what we're going to have to look at here. So thoughts on South Louisville? Definitely think, again, anywhere along the I-65 corridor, we do have, so we're still in that slight risk level 2 out of 5, but I don't think that the severe risk is that high. We could have a damaging wind risk along the I-65 corridor. But I definitely think that the highest risk for damaging winds is probably going to be in far western Kentucky. And I do think that the hail risk is definitely Western Kentucky as well. So definitely more of a flooding risk, even along I-65. I think tonight the flooding risk is a little bit more concerning, especially with the HRRR showing kind of a swath of 3 to 5 inches in Western Kentucky. We'll kind of have to see where that sets up. But anywhere that sets up, we'll see some flash flood warnings as we get into overnight. So will Summersville get large hail and damaging winds? Again, I think it's more of a far Western Kentucky, but I do think that an isolated severe thunderstorm warning is possible in Summersville and anywhere like southern central Kentucky as we get into the overnight hours. So I don't think that the severe risk is as high as Western Kentucky there, but I do think that we could have a severe thunderstorm warning or two as we get into the overnight hours. So again, the biggest thing here, the SPC does say it's a 60% chance of a watch. But when I see that wording and they say that they're watching kind of convective trends, it means that we'll just have to kind of watch and see how these storms kind of look in, let's say, around midnight. And that'll kind of decide whether we get a severe thunderstorm watch. In this area is kind of highlighted in red as we get into midnight. I'm not sure if that severe thunderstorm watch gets extended to I-65. My thoughts right now would be no. But again, I still think that a severe thunderstorm warning or two is possible along the I-65 corridor. But the best risk, I think, is highlighted pretty well here from the Storm Prediction Center. I definitely think it's more highlighting Western Kentucky. Devin said, will you be live most of the night? So my plan right now is I'm going to kind of babysit radar. There's not much to be live on right now. If we had some storm chasers out, I probably would be live a little bit longer. We're working on kind of expanding our storm chasing team here at Zero Meter Chasers so we can kind of give you guys more live coverage. But there's not much to cover here in Kentucky right now. But if storms do get active, I definitely will see it. Sorry, I just seen that severe thunderstorm warning. That's for hail. You can see that hail spike there, 1.25 inches. But as we get into the overnight, I'll be babysitting radar. And then if I do have to sleep, I'm going to set alarms on my phone. So I'll set one at 2 a.m. I'll set one at 3 and 4 to kind of babysit radar until we kind of get through this. And if we do get a tornado warning, I will be live. So I will promise you guys that I will cover any tornado warning. Probably will be a raggedy Coach Chris as we get into the overnight tonight. But I will get on here and cover a tornado warning if we get one here anywhere in Kentucky. So that's kind of my plan for the rest of the night. But we'll just kind of have to watch and see. Again, I think radar is key for the next couple of hours. But again, kind of seeing how that convection is already sparking here in southeastern Missouri. And it would not surprise me to see a severe thunderstorm warning be issued here. Or I'm sorry, a severe thunderstorm watch be issued here in the next couple of hours. I don't know if you guys saw that, but I was trying to get the comments off, and it was just not letting me do it. So I got a little frazzled. But again, we're going to look at radar here. I'm going to leave it open for the next maybe 5 to 10 minutes, but there's not much to cover here. We'll have to watch this complex of storms out here in far southeast Missouri as they track into western Kentucky. Again, hail risk, damaging wind risk are the two main risks, and then a flooding risk as well. And then we do have a low end tornado risk as we get into the overnight. But I'll just kind of be babysitting radar here as we get into the overnight. If there's anything interesting or anything that moves into Kentucky, again, I will be sure to go live. Mike said, make sure you have multiple ways to receive warnings if you're along and west of I-65. If you guys don't know, this is our chief meteorologist here at Zero Meter Chasers. And he does a great job here, Mike Sills. Just make sure that if you're along or west of I-65, you go to sleep tonight, have your weather radio away to receive warnings just in case you do go under a tornado or severe thunderstorm warning tonight. What about Greene County and Summersville on the winds tonight? Again, I know Greene County's over here along the I-65 corridor. I definitely think the area in red is most at risk tonight. And even this area in red, we'll just have to watch how this convection kind of trends here in the next couple of hours. So I don't think Greene County has that high of a severe risk, but I can't rule out a severe thunderstorm warning or two as we get into the overnight hours. But I definitely think that the higher severe risk is going to be in western Kentucky. And again, we'll have to babysit radar with this setup because, again, model data has just been so bad. It's been really bad with this setup. I just got a text message from Corey. I know we got a lot of people in Greene County watching right now. Corey says he has an alarm set for 1 to 2 to 3 to check things, and he will post updates as needed as well. So, as you guys know here, me, Corey, and Mike kind of work as a team here at Zero Meter Chasers to make sure that you guys are continuously updated anytime severe weather hits. So, we will definitely have you guys covered in all facets here as all of us will kind of stay up and kind of babysit the setup as we get into the overnight. Is the red area the area I think is most at risk? Yes, Danielle. Hold on, let me make sure your comment pulls up here. Yes. So there we go. I definitely think that the area in red is most at risk, but that is also the area that the Storm Prediction Center is highlighting for a 60% chance of a watch as we get into the overnight hours. And again, we have another severe thunderstorm warning out here in southeast Missouri. So it would not surprise me to see a severe thunderstorm watch be issued. Again, it even could be for hail. We'll see what this severe thunderstorm warning is. It's more for 60-mile-an-hour wind, 1-inch hail, but I definitely think the area in red is the area that's most at risk for severe weather, but it's also the area that could see a severe thunderstorm watch as soon as within the next hour or so. So just kind of babysitting radar right now to kind of see what it looks like. I do have one more thing that I want to show you guys, but I wanted to make sure that I covered any questions. And the next thing I'm going to show here is called the mesoscale analysis. It is kind of looking at the live data on the ground. We're not looking at model data anymore. We're looking at actual observations. And it kind of, when I storm chase, so for those of you that don't know, I am a storm chaser here for Zero Meter Chasers. And when I storm chase, I use mesoscale analysis every day that I storm chase because it is real-time data of what is actually happening. And it can kind of give you a look at where the best severe risk will kind of set up as we get into the overnight period. Now, I do want to warn you guys before I kind of get into this website, it can kind of be a lot. So I don't want to confuse anybody before I get on here, but I will kind of talk you guys through everything and kind of what I see as we get through this kind of mesoscale analysis. So I just kind of wanted to show that or kind of preface it with that before I show this website. And again, this is looking at the SPC website and the mesoscale analysis here. And this is looking at our CAPE. So this is looking at the amount of instability or fuel that storms have to work with. Now, where my cursor is right here is where you can see 4,500 joules of CAPE. And this is near Memphis, Tennessee. So all the way up here, just for reference here, this is Louisville, where my cursor is. And if I put my cursor over here, here's Paducah. So I kind of want you guys to have that, know where your area is. Know we have a lot of people in Greene County. So Greene County is about right here. Here's where our storms are currently out here in far southeast Missouri. And you can see the CAPE is around 2,000 to 3,000 joules, which is enough instability or fuel to support severe storms, especially in the next couple of hours out here in far western or out in southeast Missouri. Now, as we get to western Kentucky, the CAPE or the instability really drops off. When we look right here, there's only 1,500 joules of CAPE, which could support severe storms as we get into the overnight hours. But once you get near I-65, we only have 500 to 1,000 joules of CAPE, which is not enough instability to support severe storms. But again, we'll have to kind of watch here as we get through the next couple of hours to see if that kind of uptrends or ticks up a little bit as storms kind of start to increase out here in far southeast Missouri. But all this instability or fuel is what is going to lead to rapid development of thunderstorms out here in far southeast Missouri. The next thing I wanted to show is our wind shear. And this is just what kind of drives thunderstorms. It's the wind above our heads. And this is actually the wind shear at the surface. And anytime we look at wind shear, you're looking for amounts anywhere from about 40 to 45 knots that will support organized severe weather. And when we look out here in far southeast Missouri, you can see we have about 55 knots of shear. So definitely have strong wind shear. And that's been highlighted on the models for a couple of days with the system. And that's kind of what's driving this damaging wind threat, especially in southeast Missouri right now. But all this, we can put this in fast forward, and I do want to do that real quick. But again, here is southeast Missouri, and here is Louisville. So let me get this set up. So again, here's the cursor for Louisville. Here's Western Kentucky. This is just a forecast here from the RAP. And we kind of fast forward it here. And as we get to around midnight, you can see out in far Western Kentucky, we have around 55 knots of shear that kind of advances with those storms. kind of updated here. Let me get it back. And that will be enough wind shear to support severe storms. Again, far western Kentucky near Paducah. And you can see as we get to about 4 hours, as we get to around, that'd be around 2 a.m., you can see how the RAP has a line of storms here in western Kentucky. And that is right along where we have the kind of the greatest wind shear. And then if we advance it 6 hours to around 4 a.m., you can see how the RAP really blows up storms along that wind shear here. Again, along the parkways in western Kentucky, and all this is going to advance eastward near I-65, probably around the 3 to 5 a.m. window is what I would say right now, but you could give or take an hour or so. So I definitely think storms are coming. We're definitely going to get an increase of storms, and I think a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings are possible, especially out here in far western Kentucky. But this Cape, that is what kind of is a little bit helping us here, is because it's 10:40 at night. We don't have that instability. We don't have the instability that we would have if we had the sun out and we had full radiational heating. So that is definitely leading to a little bit lower severe risk, but that again, that wind shear that I was showing is plenty enough wind shear to support a damaging wind gust or two as we get into the overnight hours. So I hope I didn't confuse anybody with that. Just kind of wanted to show kind of what I look at behind the scenes when I'm looking at severe weather here and things that I use on my storm chasing daily. So I did want to look at one more thing here. We'll look at the helicity, which is the ability for storms to rotate. Now, that's very interesting. If you look, you can see nearly 400 storm relative helicity in the Boot Hill of Missouri. When we look at helicity, we look at for any values around 200 to 300, and 400 helicity is a high amount of helicity, especially with the amount of Cape. So I definitely think there's a tornado risk. I think this is a little bit west of Sikeston, Missouri. So I know this is west of Kentucky, but this is right now. So we know we have 400 storm relative helicity out here in the Boot Hill of Missouri, and that is the reason why that storm got tornado warned so quick. And it might even have a tornado here, because that is a lot of wind shear, a lot of turning of winds, especially out here in the Boot Hill of Missouri. Now, again, we can fast forward this just like we did with the wind shear. As we get to about, let's say, 2 a.m., you can see how the RAP is still showing that 400 to 500 storm relative helicity. If we get to 6 a.m., it does downtick a little bit, but we still have about 300 helicity in far western Kentucky. That's kind of pinpointing near Paducah. I know it's kind of hard to see, so I'm trying to talk you guys through it. But this is, again, around 4 a.m. and overnight into early on your Thursday morning. We could have a low-end tornado risk, especially far western Kentucky, looking at mesoanalysis. But I definitely think the tornado risk is going to be higher in western Kentucky than it would be in central Kentucky, and I don't think that the tornado risk is that high at all. But again, I just kind of wanted to look at some data here with you guys, because this is what I would do if I ended this live stream. So I just kind of wanted to do that, kind of show you guys what I'm looking at. And look at this. Look at what we just got. There is your severe thunderstorm watch that is issued here for portions of far western Kentucky. I think I want to get this popped up a little bit better here for you guys. So give me 1 second. I think it is still loading up. Yep, the graphic's still loading up. So I'll give you a second, but you can see it here. I'm going to go here. We're going to take off the mesoscale discussion. There we go. So here's your severe thunderstorm watch for far western Kentucky. This does include places like Mayfield, Wingo, Paducah, Fulton, Bardwell, Hickman, and Clinton, Kentucky, far western Kentucky, and the Boot Hill of Missouri. This is a severe thunderstorm watch, and will go until 4 a.m. Central Standard Time. When we look at all of the probabilities, the highest probability is going to be for 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts. There's a moderate chance of 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts. And then the 1 inch to 2 inch hail is also a risk as well. And then you can see we do have a low end 20% tornado risk with this severe thunderstorm watch. So with all these severe thunderstorm warnings and these tornado warnings that have popped up, it did not surprise me that the SPC and National Weather Service went ahead and issued that severe thunderstorm watch for far western Kentucky. Again, hail and damaging winds are the primary risk, and we'll have to watch for any spin up tornadoes, especially in the severe thunderstorm watch as we get into the overnight. So this has been a long video, but it's been a good video. I want to make sure you guys are weather aware. So Melina says, if a tornado, how strong? And I'm in Princeton, Kentucky. Do you know how this will be the time it gets to us? Princeton, I know, is far western Kentucky near Eddyville. Don't think, Princeton was not included in the severe thunderstorm watch, but you're really close. Remember, this severe thunderstorm watch is going to expire by 4 a.m. So I think the timing for severe storms is going to be anywhere from, I'll say for Princeton, anywhere from 1 a.m. to 4 a.m. But we'll kind of have to watch again. Watching these storms, it could be as soon as 1 a.m. and as late as 4 a.m. on the arrival. Just depends how quickly these organize and advance eastward as we get into the overnight hours. And the tornado risk, again, I think if we do have a tornado, it's going to be a weak spin up tornado. I don't think the tornado risk is that high at all. I just think we don't have the instability to support a strong tornado tonight. It's overnight, but we could with the helicity that we have, and I've kind of shown here, I do think that we could have an isolated brief tornado, especially far western Kentucky. So I just think having a way to receive warnings is key tonight. Again, I don't think this is a widespread severe weather outbreak or anything like that, but I do think we'll have a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings and even maybe a tornado warning in far western Kentucky as we get into the overnight. So again, I just want to make sure that everybody is weather aware as we get into the overnight. So if you have any questions or I did not answer your area, please ask those questions now because I'm going to end this video for a little bit. Again, I'm going to be setting some alarms. Corey Houck as well is also going to be setting alarms as well. And we also have Mike Sills on standby as well. So we have all the team on deck tonight to kind of cover this severe risk. But again, I don't think it's a severe weather outbreak or anything like that, but could have a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings as we get into the overnight hours. Chastity said, Bowling Green area, do I think I see the watch getting extended to us? It's tough to say. You know, that slight risk is extended to the I-65 corridor, but by the time these storms reach Bowling Green, it'll be around, I'd say, 4 to 5 a.m., and that timing just usually does not support organized severe weather. Now, we could still get a severe thunderstorm warning as we get into the overnight period tonight, but it's going to be interesting to see what happens around 2 or 3 a.m. How organized is this convection, and how quickly does it kind of move off to the east? So that's kind of what we're watching. Right now, it's just babysitting radar, and I definitely think that the flash flooding and just I think the severe risk is on the lower end compared to just the flash flooding risk. Just kind of the repeated rounds of showers and storms that will set up. I think we'll definitely have a couple of flash flood warnings as we get into the overnight tonight. You'll see another tornado warning that was kind of issued here just west of Piedmont. I want to check and see if I got any questions. Yes, let me answer this question from Emma, and I'll kind of look at the this tornado warning out here in southeast Missouri. How severe should it be when it hits London? I am not worried about the severe risk in London. And honestly, I'm not sure if these storms are even going to reach eastern Kentucky, especially far southeast Kentucky. So I definitely think you can sleep if it's in London, because if they do reach you, it'll be by Thursday morning by the time that this complex even reaches eastern Kentucky. So definitely think this is an event. If you're in eastern Kentucky, you can sleep on this one. You can definitely sleep if you're in eastern Kentucky for this event. I did want to look at this tornado warning here just to the west of Piedmont real quick. We'll kind of look at the rotation. This is a notorious radar hole. So when we look at this, I don't want to get on kind of a soapbox here, but when we look at all of our radars that are kind of near where this tornado warning is, I'm going to circle them because they're kind of hard to see. Here's one. Here's one. And here's one. So you can kind of see this tornado warning is smack dab in the middle of a radar hole. So we don't have the best radar coverage here. And I know a lot of people have been asking to kind of get a radar site here in the Boot Hill of Missouri, because this is an active area that we get a lot of severe storms, and we just don't have a radar here. We don't get good radar signal. And you can't see, I mean, even if we see rotation, it is hard for It's hard to see what it's doing at the lowest level because it is so far away from radar. But you can see this tornado warning that is going expires at 11:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, just west of Piedmont, Missouri. One thing that I wanted to do is kind of look at the instant rotation here, and yeah, it's kind of weak rotation. I'll be honest, just west of Piedmont, so we'll have to watch it. But again, this is in a radar hole, so it is hard to kind of see where the rotation is because of where the storm is compared to all of our radars. And again, there's in the weather community, a lot of us have been preaching for a radar here in the Boot Hill of Missouri, just because a lot of storms go through here, and this happens a lot where we just don't have good radar coverage until these storms kind of get closer to Paducah here. But I do want to look at the storm that's kind of firing just north of Sikeston, Missouri. You can see some lightning here. Yeah, and you can see, I wanted to look, let me look at one thing here. We'll look at the echo tops. This is looking at how high storms are getting, and you can see these storms now up here near Piedmont and Fredericktown in Missouri are getting 40 to 50 knots, which is pretty high up in the atmosphere. Those echo tops are pretty high, and that does support organized severe weather when those echo tops are that high. And you'll see these storms are kind of just now blossoming just to the north of Sikeston. So again, we'll just have to babysit radar. Right now, they're just frequent lightning producers. We are looking at that tornado warning just west of Piedmont, but rotation is not that concerning. And then we do have this severe thunderstorm warning just south of Fredericktown for 60-mile-an-hour winds and 1-inch hail. But again, right now it's kind of a lower severe risk, and we'll just have to kind of watch and see what radar looks like in the next couple of hours. So I know this was a long video. I hope nobody is confused. I hope that I kind of covered any or relaxed any storm anxiety as we got into the overnight tonight. Again, I don't think that this is a high severe risk, but we could have a couple of severe warnings, especially if you're under a severe thunderstorm watch right now, which is that area highlighted in yellow. So going to open up the floor one more time for any more questions here for the next couple of minutes. But beyond that, I am going to get off here, and I will babysit radar for the next couple of hours. And again, if we have a tornado warning anywhere in Kentucky, we will go live on all the Zero Meter Chasers accounts. So make sure that you guys are following those accounts, as we do have all hands on deck tonight on our team to make sure we have you covered here. So again, that is kind of all I have for you guys. If we do not have any questions, so I'm checking my phone right now and just making sure I have not missed anything. We got a flood watch that was posted. So I'm going to show this flood watch really quick. Guys, give me 1 second to get this graphic pulled up here from the National Weather Service. And this will be the last thing that I show, but I did want to show the flash flooding risk that we have overnight, because I have covered it a little bit, but I definitely think that we do have a flash flooding risk as we get into overnight, and it's probably as high as the severe risk is as we get into tonight. Let me see if this is not updated, so let me go back. Sorry, guys, I think this flood watch was just issued here. And I'm trying to make sure I get a good graphic that shows up well. If you give me 1 second. I think we're just going to have to do this. All right, here we are looking at the National Weather Service Louisville website here. And just south of the Western Kentucky and Bluegrass Parkways and west of I-65 is where that flood watch is. And actually, we're going to do this right here because I should have went here to begin with. We'll look at the Kentucky Mesonet website, which will show us where the flood watch is currently in Kentucky. If you just give me 1 second to get you guys going here. There is that flood watch. So anywhere in the green is where you are under that flood watch, and that flood watch is going to go until 7 a.m. tonight. We'll see. Yep. The National Weather Service is saying 2 to 4 inches of rainfall with locally higher amounts are possible as we get into the overnight. And remember, the HRRR was showing anywhere from 3 to 5 inches somewhere out here in far western Kentucky. So in this flood watch is definitely where I think the highest flooding risk is going to be. And then the sliver of pink is kind of where we have that that severe thunderstorm watch out in far western Kentucky for the overnight tonight. So I definitely think I definitely wanted to cover this the flood watch before I got off here. Devin said, do you think storms will weaken before they get to the Magnolia area? I definitely think they'll weaken, but again, I think a severe thunderstorm warning or two are possible. So, again, that's all I got for you guys. I really appreciate all the support. Everybody coming in here tonight. Just make sure that you have a way to receive warnings. Not a widespread event tonight, but we could have a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings, especially in Western Kentucky, as we get to overnight on your Wednesday and early on your Thursday morning. So, again, damaging winds, hail are the main risks. Flash flooding is also possible. And then we have that low end tornado risk as we get into overnight tonight. So if you're going to sleep, just have a way to receive warnings and you'll be all good. So just hope I could quiet any storm anxiety that we have here. I have one more question here from YouTube. The storm team asked about Evansville. Definitely think Evansville is a little bit highlighted on the hail risk. So I think that the large hail is definitely possible and the damaging wind risk. It's a little bit more elevated. I think Evansville is more elevated of a severe risk than most of Kentucky. Kind of southwestern Indiana and western Kentucky are more elevated. Autumn asked about E-Town. Again, I don't think the I-65 corridor has that high of a severe risk, but we could have a severe thunderstorm warning or two. I think flash flooding would be the bigger risk and kind of just stronger storms along the I-65 corridor. But I cannot rule out a severe thunderstorm warning, maybe even a tornado warning, but the tornado risk is very low, and it would be more of a quick spin-up tornado if we were to see one. So, again, I hope I covered everybody tonight. Hope everybody has a safe and blessed night. And, again, if we have a tornado warning that is issued in Kentucky, we will have you covered here at Zero Meter Chaser. So, I hope everybody has a safe and blessed night. Just have a way to receive warnings if you must go to sleep. Thank you, guys, and have a blessed night.